I don't think that they think about the girl or boy that they're buying is being beat and forced into selling their body. No little girl and no little boy in their right mind ever as a child would say, I want to grow up and I want to be sold. So they're called tricks, they're called Johns. They are sex buyers, they are sex purchasers. They are basically paying to rape and molest women, men, boys, and girls.
Trafficking, honestly, is slavery. It's evil. It is robbery of victims' true identity, true purpose, and true selves.
It's not just on a street corner, it's not just on a website, it's everywhere, it's right outside.
People tend to think that there's no such thing as human trafficking in Orange County.
We see the same problems related to human trafficking here in Orange County that others do throughout the state. It's the recruitment of an individual by a trafficker for the purposes of committing a commercial sex act.
Almost all of them have a history of abuse, neglect. They are prime targets for someone to come in and exploit them because they have this incessant need to want to be loved, want to be taken care of.
She told me her boyfriend would take care of us and I wouldn't want or need for anything. 2 weeks, everything she said happened, and then he approached me, and it was no longer my friend and her boyfriend, it was my pimp and my wife-in-law. And if I didn't do what they told me to do, I would never get to go back to the group home or see my family again.
A typical victim does have a background in some type of traumatic abuse. So there's already a victimization that's occurred in their life typically.
I was sitting in front of a Walmart one day and I just really upset. Me and my dad had got into it and a guy had walked up to me and he told me his exact words was, "You're too pretty to be crying, beautiful." And I was thinking like, oh, me, you think I'm beautiful? Like, my dad, he doesn't even want nothing to do with me. He starts telling me like, oh, well, you can come with me. He was 27 and I was 16.
We can see girls who logically understand that their trafficker, their boyfriend, their pimp is not good for them, but emotionally may still feel attached.
I thought only a pimp would love me and a trick would take care of me. And he made sure that I thought that. He made sure that I believed that. He made sure that I knew I was nothing but a dollar sign.
There's all kinds of methods of control that pimps use. Threatening a victim's family of violence if the girl leaves is not uncommon. Threatening the girl's life if she leaves is not uncommon.
He was like, after everything I've did for you, he's like, I made sure you had somewhere to go. He's like, your family doesn't want you. You don't have anywhere else to go. You don't have nobody else who loves you. And he was like, and I'll just leave you right here on the streets. Who knows what will happen to you.
There's a constant game that these guys play to keep this girl in check, what's called in pocket. And they don't stop that game. They'll do anything they can to make sure that they keep that money flowing.
We obviously wouldn't be faced with a human trafficking problem if there wasn't a demand side. If people weren't looking for services, then traffickers wouldn't be bringing people into Orange County to exploit them. Technology has become so prevalent in our society that there are mobile phone applications, there are social media websites, there are individual websites that cater to people looking to purchase commercial sex acts. There are a variety of different websites where you can go on at any given time in Orange County and find between 200 to 250 advertisements per day.
You put an ad on a website basically and you kind of describe yourself and say what you offer, but maybe in other words. People would call you and then you would set up your dates like that, and you would either go to them, their houses, or they would come to your room.
So what we've had to do is change our tactics as well and become familiar with the different ways that they're trying to avoid us or avoid contact with us. So we have presented a number of different cases to the District Attorney's Office using social media websites and using different applications. So as they evolve, we evolve as well.
The new way of handling this issue is no longer to just prosecute the prostitutes. We've done that for decades. It doesn't work. But when you start to treat these young women and men like victims, when you start to hear their stories and learn about their backgrounds, you can start to make a difference.
These sex purchasers are not scared to buy girls because they're getting slaps on the wrists and they're walking away with the ticket. If we focused more on the demand and more on the sex purchasers and we scared them, I really believe there would be less traffickers. I really believe there would be less girls and boys bought and sold every day.
What we've done as members of the Orange County Human Trafficking Task Force is we proactively conduct John stings in an effort to identify and arrest people that are trying to purchase sex and bring them to justice. The problem is oftentimes the penalties for Johns do not mirror the penalties for a prostitution arrest or even a pimping or pandering or human trafficking charge. So that's something that we're trying to address through the task force and through our association with the district attorney's office and various nonprofit groups, is we're trying to increase the penalties related to the purchasing of commercial sex acts.
We're going to change the way this is looked at in Orange County, and we're going to change the way it's prosecuted and the kind of sentences that these people get. We want to educate the police, teachers, parents, all the various people who need to know about this to change the thinking on it.
I understand the importance and the power in educating victims on manipulation and coercion and persuasion, because I've seen what it can do in others' lives and I know what it did for me. I'm a survivor of sex trafficking. My experience with trafficking was a little different, being from a good home and being lured in by a man who said he was a modeling agent. So I just felt that it was finally time for my voice to be heard in order to prevent this from happening to other girls who maybe thought that it could never happen to them.
The goal of what we're trying to accomplish is when we come into contact with these individuals, we want to offer them help. We want to get them services. We want to give them the out. We want to give them a chance, if they're willing to take it, to get off the street.
I believe I stayed in the life for 10 years because I didn't know I had an option. I didn't know that the community would accept me. I didn't know that I could find a church that would love me. I didn't know that I could be a good mom. I didn't know that I could go back to school.
And there is a way out. And even though you may not think that there is, and you think it's impossible, and he's always watching and he'll find you, he won't find you, and he's really not even gonna look.
I'm inspired every day by the girls I work with, seeing their resilience, seeing what a little bit of education, a little bit of exposure to other survivors who have been through what they've been through, a little bit of hope, seeing what that can do to restore the mindset of a victim. Because it's one thing to offer shelter and clothing. Those resources are definitely needed. Definitely we have to take care of the body, but we have to take care of the mind and the spirit as well. And that's restoring how they think about themselves.